Coming up, we get ready for our first flying of the year in Missoula, Montana. A father and son bond over the love of flight.
Another electric aircraft gets closer to reality and getting young aviators out to the airport. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
Celebrate 20 years with Sonex Aircraft by building and flying your dream. Quick handling, fun, and capable kit aircraft models to suit your flying passions. Get the best performance per dollar with Sonex Aircraft.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Melissa Redinger.
Welcome to Missoula. We're here in the exhibits hangar where they're working on setup for the first AOPA flying of the year. Behind us, the AOPA Sweepstakes Super Cub, feeling right at home in the shadow of the mountains.
Our outreach team is working hard to prepare for an amazing event. This could be one of the biggest regional events yet, with over 600 aircraft that have registered to fly in. And our host, FBO North Star Jet, is providing wonderful support and the use of their hangars.
Most FBOs like North Star Jet and Minuteman here in Missoula do a great job of providing service at a reasonable cost. Sadly, that's not the case everywhere. Some FBOs charge unreasonable fees, making airport access cost prohibitive. AOPA is working to fight against excessive fees so pilots have reasonable access to airports, paid for with their tax dollars, by the way. One of the ways AOPA is working to do this is through Part 13 complaints to the FAA. Part 13 process is a means to ask the FAA to investigate these practices. But much to our surprise, the FAA has decided against AOPA's Part 13 complaint at Asheville Regional Airport in North Carolina.
We believe that it's a scary precedent because it could set kind of the groundwork for a number of other airports, or set a precedent for other airports around this country. And enable other airports with a single FBO to effectively charge whatever it is that they want at the airport. And we think that runs afoul of the federal obligations imposed upon airports.
Although informal and non-binding at this stage, AOPA believes the decision contradicts existing FAA policies. We're continuing to work with the FAA and airports to ensure fair pricing and access.
Relief is in sight for 3 general aviation airports. Every time President Trump heads to one of his resorts, TFRs shut down the nearby general aviation airports. His trips have shut down Somerset and Solberg airports in New Jersey for a total of 40 days so far, and his visits to Mar-a-Lago Resort in Florida have closed Lantana Airport for more than 70 days. AOPA has been working hard on this issue, and there's good news for those airports and the businesses on them.
Our team was able to work with various members from the New Jersey and Florida delegations to obtain $3.5 million in the House fiscal year 19 appropriations bill and the Senate fiscal year 19 bill. So now we just have to wait for the bills to reach the Senate floor and the House floor, iron out those differences, and send it to the president.
If the provision makes it to the president's desk, the money would become available later this year.
So, relief is on the way, and we're very hopeful that we can get it made available in the next couple months and help these airports and these businesses, which really, it's a matter and a question of fairness. And I think the Congress has seen that, and we're very happy and very supportive of it.
So this is the Senate bill.
Okay.
We've already have language in,
right.
in the House version, so we just need to get the bills through, reconciled into the president for signature.
Okay, it would be nice to get that done, get some relief for those airports. But one of the airports that does need more help is Santa Monica near Los Angeles, and it just can't catch a break. Citing jurisdictional grounds, the U.S. Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia refused to review a 2017 backroom deal between the FAA and the city of Santa Monica to immediately shorten the runway and allow the airport to close in 2028. While many stakeholders, including AOPA, are still fighting for Santa Monica Airport, the decades-long battle has already taken a toll on a number of businesses who used to call it home. The newly shortened runway, which took the length from 5,000 feet to 3,500 feet, was completed in December, causing traffic to drop at the airport. So Santa Monica back in the news again.
Disappointing.
Disappointing, but we're not going to give up. There's a lot of economic impact on this airport, and particularly from a natural disaster standpoint. The citizens of Santa Monica are going to want this airport someday, and so hopefully they're going to come to realize how important it is that we protect it.
And we're going to keep fighting. We've got like another number of years before we really have to give up the ghost.
Almost 10 years,
yes.
so we'll get there.
Yes, we will. A win for pilots flying under BasicMed. AOPA has received an STC to make more Piper PA-32s BasicMed compliant. Previously, some PA-32s could not be flown by a BasicMed pilot because they've been certified to fly with up to 7 people on board. One too many for a BasicMed pilot. All a PA-32 owner needs to do is receive a copy of the STC, a letter of authorization from AOPA that restricts the airplane to 6 seats. The STC is free for AOPA members and $99 for non-members. With several thousand Saratogas, Cherokee 6s, and Lances out there, this news should make quite a few happy Piper pilots. BasicMed has been a huge success. Over 35,000 pilots are flying under the new medical rules so far. If you have any questions about the STC or BasicMed, our experts in the Pilot Information Center can help. You can call them at 1-800-USA-AOPA.
The FAA just released an update on the project to find a new unleaded fuel to power the GA fleet. 2 fuels have been under evaluation to replace 100 low lead since 2016. The FAA said they're looking to complete testing by December 2019, and that's a year later than previously announced. Right now, they've stopped flight testing and some engine testing as differences in the fuels compared to 100 low lead are being evaluated. AOPA supports the program to find a new fuel as long as the airplanes in the GA fleet don't require extensive modifications to work with the new fuel and that the fuel is cost competitive with 100 low lead. And more aircraft that don't use avgas are all getting closer to reality. The Workhorse Group says the FAA has accepted their application for type certification for the SureFly eVTOL aircraft. The hybrid electric machine recently completed untethered hover flights. A small engine drives a generator which provides electricity for the 8 motors and their propellers. It uses a single fly-by-wire control system. This is going to be something new for the FAA certification folks for sure. Could be an interesting test to see how the new Part 23 will deal with something well outside the conventional box. So remember, we actually did a report on this aircraft back at Oshkosh last year, and they were hoping to get to the point of tethered flight and then now untethered flight, and they've made pretty good progress this year.
They have. It's exciting to see this. I think we're really getting to a tipping point.
Yeah, and Part 23 rewrite's going to help that a lot.
Absolutely. Looking for your very own aerial recreational vehicle? Kitty Hawk says the Flyer is now available for you to buy, well, sort of. We showed you the prototype flying at Oshkosh last year. Now the Flyer's been considerably refined, but for now the software still limits it to a maximum altitude of 10 feet and 20 miles an hour. It's classified as an ultralight, so you don't need a pilot certificate to fly it. And the software does most of the flying for you anyhow. And while Kitty Hawk says it's available to buy now, what they really mean is they're inviting you to put down a pre-sale deposit. They haven't yet released the price.
Well, hey, who says young people aren't interested in aviation? They sure seemed excited this weekend at the Triple Tree Aerodrome in South Carolina. The beautiful venue hosted an event focused on young aviators. AOPA online editor David Toulis has the story.
The Triple Tree Aerodrome near Woodruff, South Carolina hosted the inaugural grassroots fly-in this past weekend aimed at and organized by youth who are recognized as vital to the future of aviation.
Young Aviators fly in June 8th through 10th, 2018. It's our inaugural year. We're super excited. So far we've got a lot of people out here enjoying some great burgers. We're enjoying aviation, people camping out, swimming, fishing, you name it, they're doing it.
I really am proud of the fact that we have 600 people committed to be here for this young people's aviation event. And if we don't look around at AOPA fly-ins and Triple Tree fly-ins and see that we're all 70, 65 years old, a little overweight, why not invite some young people to come be a part of us and help hold the positions in our airlines and the air carriers and all the people that are desperate. It's our real opportunity of a lifetime. I'm excited beyond belief.
Young and young at heart aviators alike gathered at the immaculately manicured 7,000-foot-long grass landing strip to encourage and to celebrate the rise of a new generation within the aviation community.
The whole industry is really looking for pilots right now. The airlines are seeing a big retirement coming up shortly here. So they're pulling up from the regional airlines. The regional airlines are pulling up from the flight schools. So flight schools need instructors. We really need young people to get their license, get some experience, and then get their instructor rating so we can keep training the next generation and keeping this trend going for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
We've got several RC demos for that being another avenue to possibly get into aviation on the smaller scale. We've got several guest speakers Saturday. We've got some fishing and swimming that people can come do in the lakes and creeks. And overall, we're just hanging out and enjoying each other's company. It's just a really good time having everybody around.
Burgers, fellowship, and pure aviation fun made this event one for the ages, and we're very excited to see what the next youth fly-ins have in store for us in the upcoming years. At the Triple Tree Aerodrome, this is David Toulis, AOPA Live.
So great seeing young people at this fly-in, having a great time, using airplanes, and airplanes of all kinds, a really wide variety of airplanes down there.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge turnout. I mean, it's exciting to see that kind of energy and that young crowd excited about aviation.
Absolutely. Let's hope they're able to pull it off again next year. Hey, coming up after the break, celebrating the Swift, a reminder to use that rudder.
And a father and son share the love of flight together. You're watching AOPA Live this week.
You always knew it was your perfect airplane. Now it can have the perfect panel. Garmin G500 TXI and Garmin G600 TXI, the next generation of flight displays.
Welcome back to Missoula, Montana, where we're just one day away from our first flying of the year as we record this.
There are two things our boss, Mark Baker, loves doing beyond all else: flying his Super Cub and talking to pilots. Last week, we found him at the Swift Museum about 37 nautical miles southwest of Knoxville. Mark updated the audience on a number of issues, including how the pilot community helped defeat air traffic control privatization.
GA got in the way, in a big way. We coalesced with 250 groups of general aviation. I didn't know that many existed, including yours and others, and the Cessna 140 group and the seaplane groups and all the others. And that freight train came off the tracks the first time in September, came off the tracks again in November. It was really tried hard one more time in February. We kept that train off the tracks. And it is impressive.
Mark's next public appearance is scheduled here in Missoula Saturday afternoon at our Pilot Town meeting and ice cream social.
And the folks pushing the privatization idea aren't above using a bit of fake news to try to sell the so-called need to change. Secretary Chow said that ATC had to be privatized so it could get a modern GPS-based system.
We have the best air traffic control system in the world, but it's radar-based. And if we had a GPS-based air traffic control system, we would be able to pinpoint the exact location of that plane and be able to stagger or line up the planes with shorter distances between them. That would give us greater opportunities to reduce the congestion. So that's just one example as to how the air traffic control system, if it had the most up-to-date systems, technology, can help to reduce delays.
Well, hey, that sounds pretty good. Maybe we could call it, well, I don't know, maybe next gen? Maybe we could use something like, well, how about ADS-B to make it work? Now, you'd think that the FAA's boss, the Secretary of Transportation, would know that we already have a GPS-based surveillance system across the entire nation. As you can see from this FAA map, ADS-B is, well, everywhere. But let's drill down a bit more. Here's all the commercial service airports in the United States, and this shows ADS-B and radar coverage. ADS-B is the lighter color, and as you can see at ground level, ADS-B already covers more area. Now, let's move up to 3,000 feet. Now we have everything covered except some of the places in the mountains. And again, the light color shows ADS-B covering more area than radar. And now, at 10,000 feet and above, yep, ADS-B covers the entire airway structure and definitely everywhere the airlines fly. So why would Secretary Chow say we don't have a GPS-based system? Well, this FAA graphic may explain some of it. While 40,000 GA aircraft have already equipped with ADS-B, only 25% of the airlines' airplanes have it, and they have an exemption for aircraft so that their equipment doesn't have to be as accurate as what we in general aviation have to install, at least for a while. And on top of that, the airlines have asked the FAA to extend the deadline for full equipage. So we're not fully using the GPS-based surveillance system because the airlines haven't installed the technology on their end. So, Madam Secretary, it ain't the FAA that's been slow to modernize. And two final points about radar. One, the military wants at least primary radar to be maintained for security purposes. And two, all those supposedly modern privatized air traffic control systems around the world that the airlines like to hold up as a shining example, guess what? They use radar too. So this idea of privatization just won't go away, just keeps creeping up in all these little conversations around DC.
And now they're getting a little bit outrageous. I have to say, you know, with the ADS-B ground station was fully deployed in 2015, and not only that, every air traffic control facility has the feed, and they are using it.
Right.
So it's not only deployed, it's in use.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how they can twist things around for their own purposes.
As we mentioned earlier, AOPA President Mark Baker was at the Swift Museum Foundation near Knoxville last week. The foundation is made up of a passionate group of pilots dedicated to keeping the Swift flying. The beautiful two-seat airplane was designed in the 1940s. Last week, the Museum Foundation celebrated 50 years and a new step for the museum building.
We're looking here at the Swift Museum Foundation, and it's our newly completed museum facility. We have the offices, we have the parks department, we have the museum, and we have phase 3 that we have just completed, which is going to be our restoration area and forum area.
The Swift Museum is open to the public. You can find out more about it on the Swift Museum Foundation website.
AOPA's Air Safety Institute is all about helping pilots of all types of airplanes fly safely. They just released a new safety tip video about giving the rudder the attention it deserves.
Ah, the rudder. It's one of an airplane's main flight controls, and one of its most underused. Some pilots tend to use it only when turning the airplane, and then they take the rudder, tuck it back into their pocket, and forget about it. So why do we neglect these important controls down at our feet? Well, we'll give you a hint. It all comes down to recognizing y'all.
You can find the full video on the Air Safety Institute homepage.
And finally, this weekend we celebrate Father's Day. Many pilots have their dads to thank for helping them to get into general aviation. This week we have a story about how a father and son bond through flight.
Henry Scott found a way to break from the bonds of Earth and experience solo flight at only 12 years old. He did it by learning to fly a powered paraglider.
The experience has been just amazing. Just seeing views from bird's eye view.
And Henry gets to experience the freedom of flight thanks to his dad, Jens. Jens is a helicopter and multi-engine rated pilot.
Every time we went to an air show, he always wanted to say, well, what can I do? When we stumbled upon the powered paraglider, he says, could I do that? And I thought, you know, maybe you could do that.
It took a lot of hard work. Henry spent months doing groundwork and working with a powered paragliding instructor before his first flight.
My first flight was very exciting, most epic thing you can think of, because there's no shielding around you, and it's the first time you've been up there, and you feel like you're just by yourself there, and you're just controlling the whole thing by yourself.
Man, that moment, that was a sphinctometer tight moment, you know, where, whew, you know, he goes and the engine goes and he just goes off the ground. And, you know, the feeling I had was like, man, I can't fix anything if anything goes wrong. I hope this foundation that we've laid here is gonna work. And it did. He went off and the engine quit. He did a half turn and the engine quit. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he just turned and made a picture perfect landing, you know, right where he was supposed to. And then I thought, okay, we've already encountered the worst that can happen.
Safety has always been a top priority for Henry and Jens from the start.
You know, the idea of flying something and not doing it well is not compatible. I tried to emphasize with him this notion of pilot and command. You know, that as you're the pilot, nobody else can tell you whether you need to fly or not.
The experience has helped strengthen Henry and Jens' relationship.
It seems like it's made us closer, as now I fly and he has flown, and now we share sort of the same experience.
This is the years where young men, young boys get derailed, and I think this has helped keep his wheels on the tracks more firmly. It keeps us with a common goal. You know, when we go out to the field, we have a common goal, you know, to get him up in the air and keep it safe. So I think it's been great for our relationship.
And Jens hopes Henry's story will inspire other kids and their parents.
I just hope other kids find some inspiration to do something other than playing video games and watching TV. You know, get off your derriere and do something, because there's a lot of really fun things out there. And sometimes they take a bit of work and a little bit of investment, you know, but I find this, you know, I would do this 1,000 times over. It's been the best thing I could do, that I've done for him.
Josh Cochran, AOPA Live.
Henry already has his sights set on the next step up. He's hoping to start flying an ultralight airplane soon. What an inspiring story. A little bit nerve-wracking too, but
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a very proud father.
Yeah, I mean, good on them. I'm not sure I could put my 12-year-old kid up in something like that, but it's great that they're doing it, and really exciting to see kids out trying to use aviation and getting involved again.
It is.
Yeah. Well, that does it for us this week. Hope to see many of you here in Missoula.
We leave you with a video of formation flight over Tennessee from the Swift Convention. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next Thursday for another AOPA Live This Week.
Here at You Can Fly, our sole mission is to get people flying and keep them flying. Each of our 4 initiatives is designed to reach pilots at a critical point in their journey.
Please don't let general aviation fade away. Support the AOPA Foundation and the You Can Fly program.